For all things outdoors, listen to the father of two, the Jesus-loving, TV show hosting, hairy, true-blood American redneck, Ben Cole.
And listen to the outdoor filming, chef cooking, chocolate milk drinking, John Weissmuller. We are
Rooted Podcast.
All right, John. This episode, we might ruffle some feathers. We're going to talk about the hot topic of what is CWD, chronic wasting disease, and the rules of baiting versus not baiting. Now, that doesn't have to even be state specific. We're just going to talk about, how is CWD affected by feeding? Is it affected by feeding? And man, this is our opinions. We're not deer scientists. We just have our opinions on what we've seen across the nation deer hunting, right?
That's exactly right, Ben. And all we're going to do is, talk about our experiences with baiting and hunting over food plots and also hunting over natural foods and, natural walkways of deer. And we're just going to talk about that. We're going to talk about how CWD affects the laws, what it is, and how we feel about it. So this should get pretty interesting, to say the least.
Yeah, I think it's going to get pretty interesting because whether you're on one side or another, we're going to look at both sides and try to come up with a solid conclusion based on the evidence, the facts. We're even going to look at what CWD is actually defined as and how it is particularly transmitted.
Let's do it. Let's dive into it, man.
So, what is CWD? Chronic wasting disease. It's a fatal neurological illness occurring in the North American cervids, members of the deer family, essentially, including white-tailed deer, mule deer, elk, and moose. Now, this information is coming directly off the USGS.gov website. This is their definition of what CWD is. Now, it was discovered in 1967, and it has spread geographically and increased in prevalence locally. So, you might ask, how is CWD transmitted? Their definition is this. CWD is transmitted directly through animal-to-animal contact and indirectly through contact with objects or environment contaminated with infectious materials, including saliva, urine, feces, and carcasses of CWD-infected animals. That's their definition, John.
Right. Okay, so now that we got all the good science stuff out of the way, what does that mean to a deer hunter? Okay, so saliva. Some examples of that, right? If deer are eating on acorns, right? Just a regular old acorn flat, and then another group of deer come through, guess what, folks? They're staying on that same acorn flat and they're changing saliva anyway, right? Same thing that if you're going to put out, corn in a feeder, right? And the corn spreads out, deer eat it, then the corn spreads out again and another deer come through and eat it. To me, I see no difference in that. The saliva is still going to change.
Well, my whole thing is, man, and like I said, this is just my opinion. A deer is going to interact with other deer. Okay, look at a doe and a fawn, and they're fawn, right? They interact with each other. They're in each other's face. The mama licks that baby to clean it, right?
Yeah.
So there's saliva interaction right there, without doing anything. That's just natural. Okay. We have other interactions during the rut. Okay. These bucks are hammering each other face to face, head to head, antler to antler, full contact sports. So you can't tell me that saliva is not being transmitted that way too. Because when those deer hit and they're wore out, you've seen it. We have both seen it.
Yeah.
Where those bucks are slobbering everywhere. There's spit, saliva going all over the place. So,
blood.
Yes. In fact, we talked about it in the last episode. One of the deer that I've been chasing has lost his eye, one of his eyes. and his back leg is about that big around now. I got a picture of him this morning.
Yeah.
His back leg is massive.
Yeah.
So
He's all jacked up.
yeah, but nonetheless, do I think
Yeah.
CWD is an issue? Yes, I do. Do I think that
Yeah,
we should
it's
do
real.
something? Yeah, it's real. I think it's an issue. I'm not discrediting that. I'm just saying we need to figure out a way to do it without saying, "Hey, you can't hunt like this," or "Hey, you can't hunt like that," because ultimately they're going to get it anyway. But I also see the other side of the coin to where it's saying, if you're feeding, they're all congregating, they're all close together, they're peeing, they're crapping right there next to each other, whatever. I see that side too, more so in the
Mm-hmm.
gravity feeders than anything else. I mean, a spreader, a spinner feeder is going to spread it out over a large area,
Right.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I think where they put their nose into a gravity feeder, uh, would definitely increase that chance. But I also think that, and maybe
Yeah.
maybe we should have an actual warden on one of our podcasts or a biologist that can really talk in depth about this, because I'm sure there's some studies out there that we don't even know about.
Probably. But now, as far as the state of Tennessee goes, let me just tell the folks out there what the law is. So, whenever you talk about how you see the other side of the coin, right, and where you could see where if you put a bag of corn out, just for example, all the deer have to come to this little tiny circle, this little tiny pile. Okay, that would make sense if the state of Tennessee also didn't allow you to put out a salt lick and hunt over it. It is legal. It is legal to hunt over a pure salt or pure mineral block or feed, crushed up, whatever. It's totally legal. So to me, if you're telling me I can't bait because of CWD and the chance of deer changing saliva, does a deer not get CWD from a salt block? I mean, that's the craziest thing I've ever heard in my life. So I just think that if you're going to say one thing and do one thing, and then you're going to do this completely other thing that contradicts what you just told me, I'm not really going to believe you. So,
Yeah.
it just doesn't make sense to me how you can hunt over pure salt and those deer are licking on it all summer long. But then as soon as you put a bag of corn out, now CWD just all of a sudden is an issue.
Well, let me ask this. I'm going to play the devil's advocate for a second. So
Yeah, absolutely.
what if there is something in the salt or the mineral that actually breaks down the saliva to where it is not able or cannot transmit to another? Because salt has properties of drying things out. Maybe that is the reason behind it. Just being the devil's advocate there, because I use salt all the time to tan hides and different things of that nature. So I'm just wondering if that may not be something that has been proven, that works. That does give you that option to not have to worry about the transmission as much because it actually dries the saliva instantly. Just
Yeah, I would say that it probably definitely doesn't. As deer for the most part are herd animals, so mostly there's more than one deer licking on it at the same time. But yeah, as you know, obviously I'm not a scientist. I'm not a biologist. I'm just a passionate deer hunter. But I definitely think that whenever deer get on that salt lick or the pure mineral block, whatever it is, that saliva still has a chance to exchange.
yeah, no, I agree with you. I mean, I say that I do see that there is a chance for that to happen. But I
Yeah,
also,
sure.
see both sides of the coin. I would just like to understand more about why the rules are the way they are. I want to know what studies have been done. I need to dig more into this because it's been really intriguing to me to learn more about this, and I haven't done it yet, but I need to. I need to
Yeah.
dive off in this, and maybe we just talk to a biologist and try to really wrap our heads on what's going on here.
Well, because the other thing is, if I have a little quarter acre kill plot, or even smaller than that, I mean, I've seen 50-yard kill plots. I mean, they don't have to be very big. Um, and again, when I'm talking about the state of Tennessee here, it's totally legal to plant a little tiny or a huge 1,000-acre cornfield and then bush hog it. But if you were to take that corn that you bush hog, put it in a plastic baggie, carry it 100 yards and dump it, you just broke the law.
Yeah. Once again, I'm going to play the devil's advocate because I'm going to say, for both sides
Crazy.
of this party here, I mean, I see what you're saying, but I also can see what they're trying to say too. And the fact that a big 1,000-acre cornfield, what are the odds of the whole herd of deer being all right there at the same spot? Like where the pile is. Because when
Yeah,
you,
exactly. On the
yeah,
1,000 acre.
so when you bush hog, you're dispersing it's like poosh, spreading it out everywhere.
Oh
So
yeah.
they have to go and pick all the way across that field. They're not just going to be at one pile all together, everybody tucked in together, trying to,
No.
get something to grub on.
No,
I can see.
not.
Go ahead.
No, you. No, I'm just saying, not on that 1,000-acre piece, but and of course, most deer hunters, if they have a food plot, it's probably not all too big. Like for example, mine, and you've been there with me. It's not the biggest thing in the world. So of course, whenever I'm watching deer eat, they're all over the place, and they are just all up in each other's business, man. I mean, because they don't have, the room of a 3-acre food plot that some people, are fortunate enough to have.
Well, I'm going to say this: I'm never planting a food plot with you again. I ain't doing that. Y'all listen to this.
Yeah, man.
John called me one day and said, "Listen, will you help me plant this food plot?" I said, "Yes, I will. Love to." He's like, "I've got the tractor over there. We're going to be good to go." Well, a little did I know that we didn't have the PTO shaft for the spreader. So me and John are literally walking around this field holding bags, spreading it by hand. I was like, yes. I said, John,
Yeah.
never again. Never again. We're going to do it. And next time we're just going to rent the grain drill from the co-op for a day and just go plant it and call it good. Yeah, no more of this hand
Yeah.
spreading, John.
No, that was pretty well rough, and I definitely went out and just bought a new PTO shaft, so that
Yeah.
fixed that problem. I didn't have that
After the
again,
fact,
but
didn't it? Yeah. After the fact.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely took a hard lesson to learn there, but and of course I overseed my food plot because
Mm-hmm.
why not?
Yeah, why not? I mean, if the deer eat it down to nothing, it is what it is. If you got
Yeah,
extra,
you
you got
got to.
extra. But what I'm going to talk about today is beyond CWD. It's beyond all that stuff, man. Because I mean, I agree. I think if they're gonna have CWD and they're gonna get it from fighting and being amongst each other
Yeah,
in the herd, drinking the same water, bedding in the
yeah,
same
dude.
places,
On a
all that
licking
stuff.
branch.
Yes, because they're running through there, hitting a scrape, putting their face up to the licking branch, rubbing all their glands on it, and then they're
Yeah.
peeing right there. And then here comes the doe.
Yep.
She pees right there. They're peeing on
Yeah.
themselves. I mean, that's why the tarsal glands are black, because they just peed all over their legs. Um,
Yes.
but to your point, talking about the corn, as a wildlife manager and an ag guy, I have far more benefit for the herd out of planting select food plots because of the nutritional benefits that are gained from
Mhm.
that food source versus just a pile of corn.
Yes, of course. Obviously, if you have a food plot that's got a brassica in it, that's got a winter wheat in it, that's got a clover, that's got a cowpea or a soybean for early season stuff, it will obviously, not only does it help your buck and it helps grow antler and all that, but also helps the mother, helps produce good milk, which then helps out the fawn, and it just, the domino keeps falling, right? So, I'm a big proponent of food plots. That's what I do. That's what you do.
Yeah.
But and again, I've have been to states with you where we can bait, and if we can touch on this for a second,
Yeah.
Baiting does not equal killing a big deer. I'll be very clear. I know that. I mean, we have
it does not.
been over bait and not shot anything, and we have also the one deer I'm thinking about where in a state that it was legal to hunt over bait in down in Georgia, we shot a big deer there, but it wasn't because of the bait. I promise you, this deer was running after a doe. Ben hit a grunt call. The deer came to the call, had no interest in that corn at all. So,
the crazy part about that hunt,
bag of corn does not mean deer.
Yeah, I mean, we had a bag of corn 50 yards right in front of us. No effect. We had bucks running everywhere, chasing does, grunting, fighting, everything else. They were not interested in the food on the ground. Not interested whatsoever. More importantly, remember, we had that one really nice 8-point that came by and just hammered down right there. I mean, it's so fast, so close. We couldn't even get the camera on him to get a kill shot. I mean, couldn't even get the gun up. Couldn't even get anything up. So, I was looking through the binoculars and I see this buck walking. I said, "Hey, John, there's a shooter. Watch this." And dude, that deer bowed up like, "What's up?" And just came running to us. Jumped the fence. Boom, right there. I said, "You on him?" He said, "Yep." Boom. See you later. Out. He was over. But
man.
But the whole point is that those deer were not going to the feed. It was there, but we did not kill it because of the corn sitting there. How many days did we sit in Oklahoma before we even got a shot on a deer?
Yeah, man. It was like the 4th day or something. And I mean, now, yes, in Oklahoma, when that feeder goes off, it is the dinner bell for those deer. But you have to think about where you are. There's not a ton of grubbage. There's not a ton of rain. There's not a ton of vegetation and trees and other things. There's not just a big oak tree in this big patch of woods that the deer are just going to eat on. Like that's, how they live, man. I mean, it's like, this is what they do. So it's a little different. It's not a little, it's a lot different there than like here in, middle and East Tennessee where we are.
Man. I mean, here we have white oaks, we have red oaks, we have all the oak trees, we have agriculture, we have natural grasses, we have a lot of natural vegetation, briars, blackberries. We have all this different forage for these deer. But, my thing is, to keep a herd alive, you have to do what you have to do sometimes, So if you're in a state where you can bait, I mean, if it's legal, do it. I mean, I don't see anything wrong with it because the thing of it is it's not going to guarantee your success. There is no guarantee in hunting a wild deer. No guarantees whatsoever.
Nope.
I mean, you can have a semi-truck dump out a pile of corn, and that does not mean you're going to kill a deer right there.
No, it doesn't matter at all. And also, if the neighbor does it, don't think you have to do it. I mean, I promise it really does not matter because, listen, I've got neighbors around me that are not like me. They don't follow the law, okay? And it's just the way it is sometimes down here in the country with a K, you know what I'm saying? And it's just the way it is. But I follow the rules. I play by the rules. I have my my food plot, right? And I strategically, I put stands in certain places, and I walk in when I'm supposed to, and yada yada yada. And I'm typically the one that shoots more and bigger deer than old man down the street with his corn pile that no one ever wants to go talk about. It's just the truth.
Yeah, I hear that, man. I think too that if you have the time, and not everybody has the time or the resources to plan a food plot, but
No,
there
I
is,
didn't for years.
man, there's a lot of natural browse too. If you just take the time and research the natural browse, and you research what deer actually like to eat and what is very palatable, that will give you a lot more opportunity for success in those states where you cannot bait.
Yes.
That is
Yes.
where you find your deer, is you
Yeah.
figure out where they're
And
transitioning from that bed to that food, whatever the food
yes.
source is, and that's where you kill them.
And guess what? Guess what I call that? Natural baiting.
Hey, it's called the good Lord's grocery store for the deer, and then there are food.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly. I mean, listen, if we didn't have the ability to make food plots, I'd be hunting acorn flats. And guess what? I still do, because there's time I have watched my deer walk right through my food plot, right to go eat some white oaks, because they're like, nope, this right here is all natural, son. This is what I'm
Hey,
eating.
man, I'll tell
So,
you,
yeah,
I
man.
actually went and pulled cameras the other day. So I just had a brand new scrape line show up on an oak flat.
Nice.
And a rub line and all that. And I thought, you know what? I'm just going to throw a camera here just to get an idea of what's going on. Not a cellular camera, because there wasn't any service. I mean, I wish I could use the Wi-Fi over there. It'd make my life a whole lot easier. I mean, I did use the Wi-Fi. I just can't use the cellular part of it. That's what I'm getting at.
Right.
Because there was no service, so I just turned it on to use it as a regular, just a regular stagnant camera, because the image quality is so great. But I went and pulled that card, and there were so many deer going back and forth, feeding back and forth down that oak ridge. It was unbelievable. I had 850 pictures in 3 days. 3 days.
Yeah, buddy, that's a lot of deer.
And compared to all the other cameras on the farm, that particular set of ridges had the most photos out of all. And then, collaborated that with the other cell cameras that are on the ridge that actually do have service across the road. Same story.
Yeah.
Ton of deer on top eating the acorns. I mean, they love acorns, but sometimes, you just don't have the acorn crop that you want because of a drought or whatever it may be, whatever circumstances happen that year. You may not get that acorn crop as strong as you want to. So that's when knowing how to plant a food plot, what to plant in your food plot, or knowing the natural browse for the whitetail, aside from acorns, that is what is going to increase your success. Baiting, no baiting, whatever. I don't care either way.
Yeah.
But I think that, I don't have a problem with baiting. I don't think it's a bad thing. Because really you're just giving your deer extra food. I mean, as long as it's legal. Now, I'm not saying go out and do something illegal. I'm not saying that at all.
No, we don't.
No,
we don't at all.
We follow by the rules of the state. Each state has their own set of rules. And if you're going to go and hunt in all these different states, you have got to figure out what rules are with what state, and it's real easy. You can either read the manual. I mean, heck, me and you have called game wardens before to just say, hey, we just want to make sure we're doing the right thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you know what? That goes a long way. That goes a whole lot longer than just getting busted for baiting because you don't know. Ignorance is not a tool here. Know your rules, know your stuff. And one thing that I would advise too, if you're going out of state to hunt public land, get on those maps, man. and study. If it's a real hilly area, study those saddles and those ridge tops and all the different travel corridors. Look for finger ridges that all meet together at the same point. That is how you're going to kill these deer in a lot less time, because you're cutting out all of the other areas that you don't really need. Am I saying deer are not in those areas? No. But I am saying that if you take the time to study a map and know, okay, this is a saddle, deer always go the path of least resistance. That is their MO every single time. So if you take the time to study and know your resources, or make sure that when you do go with an outfitter or whoever, it may be a buddy or whatever, that you do know the rules and the laws. Because at the end of the day, ultimately, you're responsible for yourself. You're responsible. If the warden rolls up on you and you got a corn pile in front of you, you're getting the ticket. Plain and simple.
Yeah.
Plain and simple.
Now, I just want to touch on this too. As far as, I am a proponent of baiting, and I would love to see it be legalized in Tennessee. And here's another kind of point as to why I think it would be awesome. So, you being a father of two, getting your kids into hunting one day, baiting doesn't equal success, especially on big bucks, but more than likely it's going to bring a doe in, or a younger deer that doesn't know any better for the most part. Odds are more better, right? So the example that I'll use is this. You know that I'm a fisherman, right? I love to fish. So whenever you take a kid fishing for the first time, what do you put on the end of the hook? A live worm.
A worm.
That's what you do. A worm and a bobber. That way they leave you alone. And guess what? It works.
It does. It does work. It works really does.
Flawlessly. And then you get a little bit older and you start learning about different lengths of rods and different ratios of reels and different action baits and plastics and this and that. You could do the same thing with deer hunting. Like, hey kid, let's go out. Let's sit in this blind with a heater, and over this pile of whatever I want to put out, I want to buy some sweet potatoes, some apples I picked from Granny's tree and brought out here, whatever it is. And we're just going to go have fun. And you may not even kill a deer, but I'll tell you, man, as a first time hunter, we've all been there. Just seeing a deer makes you want to go back. So I think that's something else to kind of keep in mind. Like, man, and I don't know, I'm just spitballing here, but even if it looks something like maybe you bring it in for just youth season, I don't even know if that'd be possible, but and again, it's the whole CWD thing, and in a congregated area, but I just think that deer are congregated and licking on all sorts of stuff daily anyway. I don't think it affects it that much more, or if any. So, I'm just a proponent of it, and maybe we look at it through that vein of getting new hunters.
Well, I agree with what you're saying there, and I'm just more about wondering, is there a better way to go about reducing the spread of CWD? What if it was just simply, well, you can't put it in a pile. You can sling it out everywhere, but don't put it in a localized pile. Maybe you get it on one of those spreaders you put on your tractor or four-wheeler or whatever, but that's the only way you can do it. And that way they're not all in one pile eating and nosing around on each other the whole time. I don't know. But, like you're saying about the kids, man, there's nothing like taking a kid and seeing them take their first deer, the excitement, the fulfillment. Dude, that is the most beautiful thing on the face of this earth is that. And what you're doing for those kids, man, is you're giving them an opportunity to be in the woods. And let's face it, that is our future. That is our future as hunters, as outdoorsmen. That is what we have going forward. to carry this lifestyle and tradition that we live. There's nobody else after us. That's it. Except for our kids and kids in general.
Mm-hmm.
Here's another thing that's going to ruffle some feathers. I really think that if we took time with kids and showed them how to safely and effectively operate a firearm and know the rules and know the dangers, I believe that we would be a lot better off because we've taken the time to teach somebody the core values of what we're doing, which is hunting for food. That's it. Hunting for food. And there's a lot of things that go into that.
I totally agree.
There's a lot of things that go into
Absolutely.
that. Absolutely. You have to know your target, know what's behind your target, and know the effects of the shot for whatever's behind the target too. There's a lot of different things that play into that. Man, I have not taken shots on deer before because of what was behind it. I was like, nope, I ain't shooting. I'll sit here and wait until it moves over here or whatever. Man.
I agree.
Even with a bow, man. Anything. Anytime you're shooting a bow, a gun, or whatever, you really need to be concerned about your surroundings too, And that all goes back to the baiting in the aspect of what it's doing is giving a kid the opportunity or anybody the opportunity to take a more ethical shot because the animal is standing still.
Yes, exactly. I may have lost you there for just a second, but
you did.
Perfect. But another thing, I kind of think that you were touching on there is, baiting may also give you more time for an ethical shot, right? Especially for newer hunters, trying to catch a deer on a ridge through a certain shooting lane versus like, hey, this deer's kind of hanging around, feeding on this food plot or feeding over this, whatever I put out. It kind of gives you another second to, breathe and aim and take your shot and just be calm and collect and ready to put a clean, ethical kill on whatever animal it is.
Yeah, and two, let's think about it like this economically. If you allow baiting, your local economy is going to pick up because more people are buying corn, more people are buying whatever. So you're now taking and increasing the money that's going into this local economy, right? And state level economy. Because when you have hunters all across the state purchasing astronomical amounts of corn or whatever it is, that is taxable.
Yeah.
Right? So
exactly. And another idea that we've also kind of discussed in the past is something like a baiting pass or like a baiting voucher or something where you pay like whatever, you make up a number, right? $100 a year, whatever, and that money goes straight back into habitat or straight back into whatever sort of projects, maybe food plots for public land, or maybe it's burn projects on public, or it's whatever it is. It just goes right back into the state. Like for us it's the TWRA. It goes straight back into those resource agencies and whatever state, and they just use that money to better the wildlife. Like I don't think anybody would really be opposed to helping wildlife. So
well,
maybe that's an avenue.
That's what the state of Alabama did. You have to buy a baiting permit.
Perfect.
When I go back to Alabama, mine is triple the price, even though I have a lifetime license. But I have to pay $50 for the baiting permit because I'm a non-resident, right? So I have to pay triple what everybody else does. But hey, you know what? I'm fine with that because I am supporting the local, whatever it is, whether it's the wildlife management areas, whether it's a kids foundation that's getting that money to take them hunting, whatever the state is using that dollar bill for. So I'm fine with that as long as it is truly going to wildlife. whatever that is, I am fine with that.
Yeah, I totally don't see an issue with it. To me, if we can figure out a way to use baiting to just help out and bring more dollars in to help out the wildlife,
Yeah.
I'm all game. So, and if you can truly prove to me that baiting causes CWD and all the other stuff like pure salt and pure mineral and licking branches and fighting doesn't, then by all means, hey, let's get rid of it, because I don't want anything that's bad for the wildlife. I just think that it's not that bad as people make it out to be, and I think it should be, ready to rock and roll, especially in this state.
Well, man, I agree with you. I want to know more. And who knows, man, if you did a baiting permit or whatever, maybe that could go and fund more CWD research to really figure out what the problem
Heck
is
yeah, dude.
and how we can
Whatever.
eliminate that specific disease, right?
Yeah, absolutely, man. Whatever we can do to help. I mean, I'm all the way in.
Yeah, man. I mean, because I think if that could educate us more in depth on how to even eradicate the disease, I mean, is that unheard of in this day's time? I mean, with the advance in medical stuff that we have this day and time, is that too far of a cry?
I don't see why it couldn't be. I mean, I'm not a scientist or a doctor or a biologist, but man, that would be really, really nice.
No, man, I'm just old hairy redneck. I am not a scientist, biologist. I have none of it. The only thing I have studied is how to kill ducks and deer and turkeys. I'm pretty good at that. But, the other stuff, that's over my pay grade, man.
Yeah. I'm right there with you, dude. I just know how to hunt, film, and drink chocolate milk. That's about all I'm good at.
Boy, you drink more chocolate milk than any human I've ever seen. I'm telling you. Whew,
hey, I'll tell you what, buddy. If chocolate milk gave you CWD, I'd be in bad trouble, man.
You would be in real bad trouble. You already got it years ago.
Oh, man.
Years ago.
Oh, my goodness. I'd already be acting plumb crazy, and I'd probably kill over by now. Oh, man.
Yeah, y'all want to see him eat a cheeseburger on a regular gluten bun. That's hilarious. We always try to get him gluten-free buns, though, if we can, wherever we are.
Yeah. I promise I'm not gluten-free to be annoying. So if that helps any of y'all.
Well, I'm pretty annoying too because I don't eat vegetables. So, I only eat the stuff that I don't eat the stuff that my food eats. That's kind of my rule. The rule of thumb is you don't eat what your food eats, right?
Hey, man, I'm on top of the food chain for a reason. You know what I'm saying?
Apex Predator here. Well, guys, I think that's all for this episode. Listen, we appreciate you listening to us here at the Rooted Podcast. And hey, let's dive into this. Maybe we revisit this again and have us a biologist on the podcast with us that maybe can explain this in depth.
Yeah, I'm all the way in on that. I definitely think there's obviously more to talk about and more to dive into. But until then, please like, share, subscribe. Rooted Podcast, Rooted Television. Check out everything on YouTube. We're on Carbon TV. Check out wherever you listen to podcasts, whatever platform that you like. And just thanks for listening.
Redneck out.
Adios.